The Salt Ball. Players hit by this green ball become unreasonably salty for any number of reasons. For being sunk in a pirate game, having curse balls used on them, an hourglass, etc. Affected players are much more likely to insult those around them, using insults such as telling you to get a job, get laid, or touch grass. Accusations, or may even resort to hurling gamer words. It does not, however, have the side effect of making sure your food is properly seasoned. That's unfortunate. Okay, so the chum ball. The blue ball that causes sharks to swarm the waters around the player's effective ship. Players from the effective ship are more likely to be targeted for the duration. Design. Blue waves with the shark fin breaching from the water for the curse ball. Visual effect there.
I was gonna say, you can throw it up on stream if you want to go through the effort so people can
I have
see
streamer mode on Discord right now,
but,
so
you know,
I can't, it doesn't pop
Hungering
up.
one.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I think it'd be very, very situational, and that's my biggest problem with it. Like, when would you use this? Like, is this, you know, could you theoretically throw this on? I would say this would be better as a throwable item. Where like this could be a curse ball that also doubles as a throwable, where you could throw it at your own boat and it protects you from borders, where it has like a ton of sharks around your boat.
That would, holy shit. That would basically just be like a water-based bone collar at that point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it'd be a cool, like, a double as a curse. You could shoot it at a player boat, and you can also throw it at your own boat, and be like a new type of curse ball that can double as a throwable.
I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about curse balls being throwable, because if you make that one throwable, you
that's
open
the
up
bone
a can of
collar
worms.
practically is.
There's throwable.
A bone collar is practically a curse ball. That's.
I mean, my idea was like the situation is, you know, you just shoot it at the enemy ship whenever you think borders are gonna be an issue. Maybe it'd primarily be for when they're demasted or like anchored, or like both ships are still.
Oh, it's called the squid.
Like both ships are demasted or something.
Yeah. I mean, I think like. That's what I think that would be better as a throwable. Would be like a water-based boner ball. At least in my opinion, that one specifically. Anyway, you might have some different ones that are it might be a little bit better as an actual curse ball. But I think that one specifically would be better bent as a throwable item.
Like, maybe what it would look like, instead of looking like a curse ball, like, maybe it looks kind of similar to a bone collar, where it's like a glass, like a bottle receptacle type of thing, and, like, it has chum inside of it.
That's what I'm saying. You could probably have, like, be like a blue wavy, or you could have little minnows, like, swimming around in it. That'd be pretty cool.
Like, I was thinking, like, you shoot it at the enemy ship, and when it breaks open, you just see, like, red chums splatter over the side of the enemy ship.
That'd be pretty crazy.
So that would be, like, an alternative. I'm more partial to the curse ball, just because, you know, that's
your original intent. I mean, I get it.
Yeah. But, you know, I could live with it as a throw. Like, it would still basically have the same effect anyway. Hey, you know what? If it were throwable and I could toss it down on my own boat to protect my ship, that would be a counter to the harpoon.
That's what I'm saying. I think that would be a great counter to boarding, just in general. I think it would definitely switch up the boarding meta for sure. Like, you'd be more intent on going for deck shots, not that we aren't already. But I think it would be a bit more important because, you know, somebody can always throw down a chum ball. A wave ball. Blue curse ball that causes the waves to become more violent. Waves begin rocking the player's ship, making aiming harder, as well as great bucketing. Design, a simple blue tidal wave on the ocean. I think, yeah, again, that would be like, these are very similar, or like reminiscent of like a green ball, kind of, which I think was probably your intent. Just like eyeballing them. Where instead of the player, it affects more of the boat and then indirectly affects the player. Which I actually kind of like the concept of.
The idea is, like, of course, green balls affect the player, purple balls affect the like parts of the ship directly, whereas blue balls are meant to have effects on the ocean and weather around the ship. So it's like you're affecting the environment around the player and around the ship.
I think like the wave ball
Which I
could
thought
also
was a
be called the
creative
storm
concept.
ball if you really think about it, because that's essentially what you're doing is giving it storm waves.
Funny you mentioned that. Yeah, so how do we feel about the wave ball in terms of balance?
I like it. I think
In
it
situational use.
it's again very situational. I think that would be one that the season that it comes out, you know, if it were to be released, it would be very heavily used for most of that season. And it would probably be like you could combo a wave ball with a grog ball, and you would probably have the entire crew in shambles. Just because
you
like
did that in Hourglass, you
oh
missed so
my
much
gosh,
salt.
yeah, that would be the salt farming combo right there. This is the storm ball. Speaking of which, storm ball is a blue curse ball that causes affected ships to behave as if they were in the storm. The wheel will begin turning on its own. The compass will spin out of control. Lightning may even strike unlucky pirates. I would hope that the lightning would only affect people that have a sword. I think that would be my one piece of feedback. And yes, I think that would be situationally that could be potentially a pretty wild one for Hourglass. Because like with all the curse balls, you gotta like I have to think with Hourglass in mind specifically because this is probably where you know they would be used the most, just because it's direct PvP.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with that line of thought.
I think having a whole new class of curse balls that affects the environment around the boat, I think is a great idea. And at that point, like, you could theoretically put any environment that Sea of Thieves currently has into that classification of curse ball. Like, for example, I don't know, a volcano ball. Kind of dumb, but I don't know. You'd have, like...
But yeah, so...
I would say that would be called a roar ball, because you can have, like, the water would boil around the boat. It could, you know, and when you bucket it, you know, it hurts you. I would say that's how I would implement that. Call it the,
At that point, the wave ball is already kind of the Wilds ball. What do you think about it?
True.
Think of, like, what would this look like visually? Maybe it just spawns like a storm, like a small storm cloud above the enemy ship to like signify that it's currently effect.
I would say
to
that
make, like, a
makes
new
the most
model
sense
for that like mini storm cloud probably. Now, here's the other thing. Does it cause it to rain? Because that's very minimal, but that's still extra water directly in the ship from a cruise ball. Like, I mean, I guess you could argue it'd be balanced because, you know, we have the ballast ball, which would cause more water to flood in on a ship if they have the appropriate holes. So we kind of have a ball already that causes water to flow in. But at the same time, you know, I don't know if that'd be considered overpowered with the other storm effects already added on. Maybe that'd be too much, I don't know. Because at that point, like, the ideal time to use it would be, like, when
I would say,
the
like,
ship is hurting.
If I think if you were to do that, you'd have to you could have either the rain or the wheel going nuts. I think having both of those would be a bit much, and that's where I would balance that, is you know, you could theoretically have one or the other, but not both.
Okay, okay. And as for the lightning thing you mentioned, I imagine, you know, it's just like a normal storm in terms of randomness. If you don't have a sword, you aren't likely to get hit, but it is possible. As for, like, having a sword out, yeah, you'd of course have a higher chance of getting hit. So,
I'd say... Alright. Next one is called the Ink Ball. A blue curse ball that curses the water around the affected ship to turn into Kraken ink. Slowing the affected ship down to a crawl may also slow down any other ship that enters the ink. I would say it would have to have the same poison effect as well, similar to in the water if somebody tries to board and you can't see either.
You think so?
I think so. Just because I don't find it to be... Again, this is a very situational item. And again, like I said, most of these that we are discussing are. I think this one, most especially, this one would be pretty. I mean, it'd be like a similar effect as a rigging ball almost, where it slows the boat for X amount of time.
I think it purely depends on how long it lasts for. I feel like in order to have the intended, like, possible backfire effect for people, like, say, like, because if you fire this and you sail through it, you also get slowed down. So I feel like this one needs to last at least a minute or two.
A minute?
Like, how powerful this one is, I don't know. However,
Dude,
how long this one is purely depends on, like, how long it lasts for.
I'm thinking like 20, 30 seconds, if that. Outside the hidden cave where Belle lives.
My initial thoughts when I came up with this idea is, I actually compared it to an anchor ball myself, because, you know, let's be honest, ink slows you down nearly to crawl. Like, you're almost locked in place entirely for however long it lasts. The upside to the ink ball over an anchor ball, I feel like, is, like, if somebody hits you with an anchor ball and, like, they keep you from raising the anchor, like if they have good aim or they get on board and never let you raise it, you never get moving again, whereas the ink ball, at least so long, however long that. I actually thought this one was going to be on the stronger, like, less situational side of the curse balls because of that. I honestly I'm surprised you, like, your first instinct was to buff it by adding the poison effect of cracking.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, in comparison to other curse balls we currently have that don't have anywhere, like, near that kind of duration, I think that would completely break the intent of a curse ball. And at that point, like, you might as well stick the Kraken on somebody. I think having
I can
it
live
be
with it going
like
down to 30 seconds. Like,
I'd
a minute
say,
or
like,
two is just the initial, like, idea. Like, part of the
I'm thinking, like,
the point of the
15
discussion is, like, to
at the highest
discuss how to balance it, right?
I would 15 seconds to me, like, even that seems a bit long to completely slow your opponent's boat to, you know, X, again, for X amount of time. I think, like, 15 seconds would be fairly balanced. And, you know, then again, I'm sure the whining and crying people would probably want it knocked down to about 7.
I would say at least 30. And what you do is you make the radius of the ink so wide that if you're anywhere, like, close, you're also going to get trapped as well. So it's either get good and land it from a really long range in the rest of your shots, or, you know, you're basically just committing the fight to, okay, I think it would be advantageous for me if both ships were to come to a standstill right now. So this is the timing I'm going to use on this.
Okay. And
I think 30, even if it is a simple concept.
Let's see here. Drowner's Ball. That would have to be renamed for sure. Blue curse ball that causes the air around the infected ship to become thick like water for a duration of time, causing players to begin drowning, losing health over time. Sure. I mean, that would be like a... It'd be similar to a firebomb. At that point, it'd be like a permanent firebomb, or similar to a venom ball, really. It would just be different.
Yeah, I also thought about that, but then I thought to myself, well, you know, they put the jig ball and the weary ball, which basically are the exact same effect, just with a different animation. So I figured I shouldn't shy away from necessarily having effects that are too similar.
No, like, I don't find it to be a bad idea at all. I think that would be one of the more, you could use that one pretty heavily. Literally wouldn't affect much to those, you know, have a high skill gap there. You can obviously eat to better that effect. You could also, one thing you could do is if you have a horn on your boat, you can blow the horn and it counters that effect.
You're thinking like blows the water away or something?
Yeah.
The original idea of this was actually, I wound up scrapping this because I couldn't really think of a way for it to make logical sense. But the idea was going to be, okay, the player now cannot breathe air, but they can breathe water, so they actually have to jump off their boat or maybe splash themselves with water to get air.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking, well, that's more of a green ball effect, because that's affecting the player directly in their ability to breathe, not the environment around the ship. So the idea is that it's turning the air around your ship into water, correct? Yes.
Right.
What if it also slowed you down, like when you're walking through like waist-high water and whatnot?
Okay. I mean, again, it's just for like it's a minimal duration theoretically, so.
What
Sure.
is in order for you to start drowning, it has a pretty lengthy duration on it for that to actually matter. So if you combine the effects, my thought, it becomes way too overpowered if you try to make the drowning part of it useful to begin with, and then suddenly everybody on that ship is slowed down for, I don't know, like however long it takes to start drowning, and then some to actually make it useful. So I was thinking maybe forgoing that. You could potentially like go the drown effect, but then, you know, it wouldn't really be a drowner's ball anymore. It'd be something else. That's what I was thinking of while you were away, at least. Okay, so I think the next one I'll send is actually the only purple ball of the group that I came up with.
Okay.
Now, this is the one that I'm very curious what everybody would think about, because depending on the duration of this, it could be absolutely overpowered. And I'm curious how you'll feel about it. I really like it as an idea and would love to have like a balanced way for this to work.
Okay. The brittle ball. Purple curse ball that causes affected ships to take more damage for a brief period of time. For example, a cannonball that would normally cause a tier 3 or a tier 2 hull would now cause a tier 3. Chain shots would poke tier 2s instead of tier 1s, etc. Curse ball design overall is a ship breaking into pieces. I really like this idea, and I have actually had, I think, like I said, I don't remember who it was with, but I had a conversation about a curse ball like this.
Really?
I vividly remember this because I've always liked this idea, where it causes just a perma debuff, and you can inflict more damage. Like, for example, like fire, under this effect, fire could spread faster, and could
I imagine
cause...
fire wouldn't spread faster, but it would poke holes like probably twice as fast.
Or yeah, sure. I've always liked this idea because it goes both ways. Like, any crew could have this, and it could be a serious contender for a very potent curse ball. But it has to be used properly. Like, for example, like, I don't think this should affect scatter shots at all, because I think that would be a bit broken. But it would have to be regular cannonballs, and chain shots, I think, specifically. So, for example, like, if you hit a sloop with it, you could one-tap a chain shot.
Yeah, I can agree with that, because you're spending a valuable resource in the form of the curse in order to only use up one chain. I'm okay with that being a possibility. I suppose by extent that would also cause...
Got Meg?
Cannonballs to also, like, one-tap the wheel or anchor. But I feel like this is another curse ball that needs to be balanced not by what you can use with it, but by how long it lasts. So say it only lasts like 5 to 10 seconds, something like that. You have that short window to use whatever. So maybe I think scatter shots could go up to tier 3, but
oh, they got Krakened!
That, you know me, tools
Sailing
not
rules.
rules, so I feel like scatter shots should work with it, but it should just be like a shorter duration so that you can only pop so many holes. But imagine how great it would be if you popped a brittle ball and then hit with a wraith ball.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think it's a great idea and something that I would love to see implemented. Whether they would allow that to be in the game is a whole nother story.
Sea Goddess.
But I love this idea. I think this is an all around 10 out of 10. You could easily implement this with very little limitation. Aside from,
Okay,
I
so
think
this
scatter
is-
shots being able to go above a tier 2, I think is a bit much because you could literally just rain hell upon somebody with scatter shots in CQC. I think
it's okay
I think that would be the one
to do
limitation
that.
where scatter shots just instantly put tier 2s instead of tier 1s first. And that would be the highest it could go.
In that case, you know, if they want to keep it at 2, like, yeah, just have it instantly pop a 2 instead of a tier 1. I'm okay with that.
That's
feel
how
like
I
that's
would
a
do
good
it.
compromise.
Is especially because, like, simply
I
put,
still-
like, that's 4 cannonballs that you could theoretically put tier 3s end up, you know, you just literally do mini circles around a boat, and you could have the entire thing littered with tier 3 holes.
I think instantly popping tier 2s with a scatter shot and still keeping it limited to tier 2s, I can live with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. Now, this is where we might start having some diverging opinions.
Okay.
But
Shipwreck on the left, I'm gonna shoot out to them.
I think this is a genuinely good idea, and I want it in the game.
Okay.
No negotiations.
This
It
is
must be as powerful as it is stated.
This is a hot take. I can already smell it.
Right, when you
All
make
right.
this idea.
Here we go. The Keg Ball. Super rare curse ball that causes an explosion at point of impact after a delay of a few seconds, equivalent to a gunpowder barrel. Design: red curse ball with an image of a fire and crossbones similar to the keg. I love this idea. PvEers are not. However, I enjoyed the chaotic possibilities with that. I vote yes.
So, the way I imagine this would work, you hit the enemy ship, and like where at the point of impact, you start seeing the ship like glow a fiery orange for a few seconds before it goes boom. So the
At
enemy
that
crew at least
rate,
has a chance.
You could actually, you could code this a bit differently to get the same effect. You could theoretically have this be a special keg spawn that is actually an explosive harpoon that you can throw into the cannon.
Why would it need to be a harpoon?
Well, not so it can stick into the hole, so they can't, like, it doesn't like not explode. Post-record Sim here. My thought process was in case it hit regs that way, because we have issues with first balls hit regging. See at Thieves right now. So if it's a harpoon that sticks into the side of the hole, it's less likely to hit reg. Theoretically, anyway. Anyway, back to the video. Because having that effect where it's delayed, I think is great. I think it needs to be some sort of like it just sticks in there. It's not like a sticky, you know, it's not a plasma grenade from Halo. We don't have cannons that stick to the side of the thing, but we do have harpoons.
Well, you know, curse balls dissipate when they hit something, right? Like they kind of just poof into that whatever colored mist they are. You know, it'd be kind of like that. Into a red mist, and like the side of the ship starts glowing from bursts before it blows up violently.
Speaking of Halo,
so if it hits, there's nothing you can do to like get rid of it as is. It's literally just a case of get away from the point of the explosion or die. And then
I think the harpoon thing could also be a bit interesting because you could also have it be. I did not mean to do that.
Well,
you could also have it if you have like a sword or you know, the throwing knife, you can stab it off if it's, you know, accessible on the side of the hole there.
I didn't make a picture for it, but you could also have an even rarer version called a mega keg ball.
Mega keg ball, absolutely not. I think keg ball is fun. Mega keg ball, no.
It would be so rare that it genuinely does not matter how broken it is.
Grade 5
You'd never be able to spam them. You'd never be able to spam it. You barely ever get to see it. It's probably more rare than a Wraith Ball. Definitely more rare.
This is a captain boat.
So it'd be just like for shits and giggles on occasion. I think it's.
I think they should just add that in the form of a different Wraith Ball that's red. A red Wraith Ball. Call it the Super Wraith Ball. And it just causes a Mega Keg level explosion.
I mean, I'm also okay with that. I would take that.
I would absolutely love to see a Wraith Ball that does double its damage. That would just be comedic.
Reminds me of
I would
another
love
idea
that.
once had with kegs. I've always wanted an ashen variant of kegs that leave more fire when they blow up.
You know what? That's
You
a
can only
great
get from
idea.
the-
Why don't they have that?